Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Real Thoughts and Conversations. Let me tell you something. Last week, if you missed last week's episode, shame on you because you missed a complete banger. Let me tell you, you missed a banger. We talked about men's mental health awareness. It's not Men's Mental Health Month. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. That's a little easier to digest then. But today,
Seem to be frozen, man. Yes, indeed. Hello,
there it
everyone. My
is.
name is.
I
Okay, there
don't
we
know
go.
why I just cut out. I was about to say, I don't know why it cut out. But yeah, let's go ahead
Yeah,
and bring everybody on because I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties because that was totally unexpected.
it
Oh my
happens.
God. I wasn't ready for that. But fellas, how we doing? We got Oren here today and we got Mr. Hamilton bringing in for the first time for our men's mental health talk. And let me tell you, he got some points. Everybody should probably listen to what he got to say.
Yep.
But fellas, how we doing?
Doing well, man.
Doing well. How's everybody doing today?
Doing awesome, man.
All
Pleasure
right.
to meet you, Mr. Hamilton.
Nice to
Anthony, it's
meet
great
you
to.
too. Nice to
Yes,
meet
sir.
you too.
Great to join you again, Anthony.
Yeah. It's a great day. Hey, look, it's a great day to be a guy. It's a great day to give some wisdom out to the youth. So I'm gonna start.
Yep.
I'm gonna start with this. Same as last week. Do 3 questions.
hmm
You can give your time, but here's your first question. When was the last time you truly felt at peace? And what did that moment look like for you? We can start with Mr. Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton,
Okay.
I'll give you 3 minutes. And then heart is yours, floor is yours.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Sure. Last time I felt at peace. I say I feel at peace now. I'm 32. I know I discussed this with Mr. Greenfield before I'm on my own. So the point of me and Mr. Greenfield's conversation was to kind of share about some of the conversations we're having over here in my circle in Upper Marlboro, which are we're checking in on each other's mental health. There's about 6 of us. We check in on each other and say, hey, how's your mental health? How's your wife? How's your kids? How's your fiance? So I feel at peace right now. I feel like I'm at an age where there's peace. I can't dwell on the past. What's happened in the past is the past, is what it is, but we move on. And I will say right now I'm at peace. With the exception of uh things that distract me from home life, I would say I'm at peace. Honestly, I'm at peace. I wouldn't have my life the other way. I'm working. I'm playing sports during the summer, still doing what I want to do. Um, growing in my career. So I would say I'm at peace.
That's good. Because not everybody say they feel at peace right now. Because
Yeah.
this world is chaotic. Sometimes our
Right.
mind are as chaotic, should I say. Sometimes our mind are as chaotic as we think. But Oren, floor is yours. 3 minutes. He didn't use Mr. Hamilton didn't use the full 3, but I'm gonna give you 3 minutes too.
Cool.
So
No problem.
when was
No
the last
problem.
time you felt at peace? And what was that moment like?
Well, listen, man, Mr. Hamilton, I appreciate what you said. And
Yeah.
by going first, man, you gave me a couple things because I was stumped. You got me again this week, Anthony, stumped with those great questions, man. Uh,
Yeah.
I'll say from when's the last time? I'll just say, for the most part, I'm at peace, man. It's not much that we can control. A lot of times when you think about it, the older
Mhm.
you get, you realize a lot of it in regards to life is outside of your hands. There are certain things that you can kind of alter, so to speak, by way of exercising your free will and choice. But when
Mhm.
it comes to a major impact, when it comes to um, life, just in general, we kind of all are on a ride. You know what I mean? And depending upon how that ride goes, our choices sometimes fluctuate, have it to either have peaks and valleys. But if our peace lies in things, then it's fleeting, you know. But for me, I always say my peace is in the Lord, man. And I'm not trying to say that to be cliche, but I'm saying it to be authentically honest. My peace is in my relationship with God. That's my center. Without it, I would be scatterbrained, to be honest with you, because I would be focused on trying to control a lot of things that I don't have control over versus surrendering those things, into the hands of the Lord in order to be able to direct me on how it is that I should maneuver. So my peace comes from that, excuse me. But trust and believe, man. It's a roller coaster sometimes. It's a peaks and valley, and then when you add on, and I think Mr. Hamilton, you were mentioning it, when you add on family, when you add on the dynamics of what that is, and then let's touch on what we're talking about tonight, men's mental health awareness. When you think about the mental health that a lot of times goes unspoken, because who really checks in with men? When it comes to our needs, nobody really cares. Unfortunately, and I'm not saying that to kind of say, "Ooh," I'm just being real. Nobody. What Chris Rock said one time on one of his shows, he says, "People care about women, children, and animals." Or either it was women, children, and causes, something of that nature. We're cared about.
It was. I think I remember the show you're talking about. It was one show when it was one comedy show, and he was like, men only get love conditionally, but the people that only get love unconditionally,
that's what it is.
Females, children, kids, and dogs,
and that's it.
Yeah, females.
So if you really think about it, we think about it as a man, right? Three men here,
females,
we're representing
children and dogs love unconditionally, right? Men, so they give love under the condition that they can provide something.
There you go.
That's what I got from that conversation.
Let's dive into it some. So
let me hit that real quick. And I'm glad that you brought it in based upon what he was saying, because I was tying a couple different things in together. But that's something that is very detrimental to the health of men, because I have a statistic. One thing I'll share: 1 in every 4 men suffer from some form of mental health, either problems or illnesses. But because when it comes to getting their needs met, when it comes to someone inquiring, checking in, let them speak to it. Normally it's going to be held against them, and it's going to be thrown back in their face. So we'll hold it, right, and pressure bust pipes. So unfortunately, a lot of times, and then I'll throw another one out, 80% of suicides are men. So I'll throw those two statistics out early, just for food for thought, as we get into our conversation tonight, that 80% of suicides is men, and 1 in every 4 men suffers from some form of mental health problem or illness. That's unfortunate. If we're 3 men here, so if we had one more, that means 1 of the 4 of us are suffering from it, right? And we might be saving face. They always say it's a lot going on behind the smile, but who's really checking in to see what's going on behind that smile? So I just wanted to throw that in, Mr. Hamilton. Hopefully, I didn't have you forget your thought.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Yes, sir.
Fine, because look, I'm 32. I do as much as I can as a man. I want to mention also, I mentioned Mr. Greenfield. Aside from teaching, I worked as a social worker. So I understand mental health. I went to school for it. I have a license, so I understand to a certain point, from a medical standpoint. But I can say that men do go through a lot. I had to wait almost 20 years just for men to say, I'm about the church service at First Baptist Glen Arden. They had to stand up. If you lost someone to cancer or you lost someone to illness, stand up. It took men almost 20 years to get there and say, I care.
Wow.
Nobody cares, about the men. So this is probably about 3 years ago. This happened at First Baptist Glen Arden. Men got together, room full of probably about 508 to 1,000 men, all African American men. They said, we care. So it took a while to get there, and I wanted to give another point. So I'll just give a brief background on myself. I'm from Washington, D.C., Northeast D.C. But I'm a mentor at this point in my life. I'm 30 years old. I'm getting older. I've been there. Everything that people have seen, men evolve, I've been there. I've played the sports. I've been to school. I know what it's like, to work a few years, with the military. So I've been there already. So I'm at a point where I'm like a mentor. I'm a quiet mentor. And I know along the line, when I see like young men come my way, I'm like, I correct them. I always correct them, like, that's not how it is. Because your mental health is going to take you on a journey. You may not be there all the way in the journey, but when you do arrive to that point, you'll know whether you're there or not. So for example, you may see Mr. Greenfield, the boys you coach playing football. they're 12, 13. When they get our age, 30, 40, they'll look back and say, wow, I've been to South Carolina. I've been to, and they have to dwell on that. They have to grow from that, but take a certain level of understanding and, because that's what a lot of men go. A lot of men, they go to Virginia State, South Carolina State, Emory, Morehouse. They go down to South Carolina. So the journey takes them there. But what have you gained from it? What have you learned? Can you give back to others from that journey? So I know I'm the same way. I grew up playing youth football, been to Virginia State, been to Bowie State. So I'm at a point now where I'm just observing and mentoring those along the way. Kind of giving them. I've had the scholarships. I've worked for the civilian service for the military. So I'm giving my thoughts and feedback to them and helping them grow along the way based on what I know is out there.
I got a question for you, Anthony. Right before you go, Mr. Hamilton, you said a quiet mentor. That's the first time I've heard it mentioned that way, but I like that. Explain. Can you share with us a little bit more what that means when you say a quiet mentor? I like that.
Well, yes. Well, I would say the average man who's 30 and above. I'm 32, so average man would say, they may have traveled. They may have seen. I've seen New York and maybe been overseas, Paris, UK. Chicago. You may have been Chicago, South Carolina, Georgia. They've seen those cities. Okay, so how can I, as someone who's seen those areas, kind of get back to young men, tell them, you're gonna run to this along your journey. You're gonna run to that along your journey. So it's in a way, if you've already been there and you're honest about your path, you give back to the younger men and say, okay, let me mentor you here, and so I can reach you along the way, so you don't have to go through these stumblings and these mistakes, along the way. So I think as men, once you reach a certain point, once you reach a certain age, like I said, you've reached peace. I've reached peace. I'm at the age where I have peace. Why not give back to the younger men and say, hey, we're trying to correct you. See, going on the wrong path. That's not right. That's not normal. We're trying to keep on a normal trajectory through life. So you come out, the wife, kids, family, house. So you're not,
Yeah, no doubt. I like that, man. I tell you, I had a different perspective of what you meant by, but I appreciate you clarifying it for me, because where my mind went on in regards to being a quiet mentor was that the older we get, and where all of us can still benefit from having a mentor, but sometimes when you become a little bit more seasoned, I'll say, because as Anthony touched on, I'm knocking at 50. What I mean by that is the older we get, when it comes to people that are able to speak in our lives, sometimes quietly, by way of meaning, it's a difference on how you speak to a younger person than how you speak to an older person, right? And it doesn't mean that you don't speak to them with direction, but you meet them where they are. So like if you take some of like what you're saying, when it gets to, and I'm not sure if either you do, and I know Anthony doesn't, but either are married with children, but where you fast forward to, like, say myself, married, and then I had 5 kids, my wife and I, and they range anywhere from 14 to Anthony's age, 25. So you're right. The plot thickens as you get older. But one thing I can say that I'm extremely grateful for is that I do have, and actually I'm gonna start using that quiet mentor. I have a person or two that speaks into my life and shares a few things, but I never thought about it from a mentorship. I always think about it just in regards to an elder statesman, right? Someone that because if you think about it, like, say for instance, if you're 32, Anthony, you're 24, I'm 48. I learn a lot from you younger guys as well, but to the age group above me that at times where I may speak to could be in their 60s, maybe even in their 70s. So they're coming from a whole nother angle. But I just wanted to say that to say, and I didn't want to ramble on, but I like that quiet mentor piece. Man. I'm at the write that one down.
I'll explain a little bit more. So I've worked as a social worker. I'm still in contact there out of Northeast DC. So I'll give the basic life cycle of somebody our age. You may know this. So I was born in Washington D.C., but I've seen young men in Alabama, Chicago, New York. I've been over to Paris, so I've seen young men. I've seen a lot of young men. I surround myself with young men and grow with them. So, but at the same time, once you reach a certain point in your career, you say, okay, I should be mentoring along the way. Bring somebody with me, help them reach that level. Only if you feel comfortable. I'm not forcing you to do it. But if you feel comfortable, look back and say, I know the path. I know what it's like to be a boy, going to school in urban DC, and now, being a mentor, giving you my story. Because even for example, like when I look at Mr. Greenfield and Mr. Dixon at my job who are younger than me, I'm getting married in in 3 weeks
Okay.
to my fiance. So
Congrats.
I look at Mr. Greenfield like I was at the same point he
Definitely.
was when I was his age. I was coaching golf in Petersburg, and I was doing some things tutoring. I was doing the same thing. So I'm like, I've already been there. I don't say that, but I've already been there. So don't need to speak on. I've already been there. So I'm saying once you've been there, and you're sure you've been there. It's okay to observe and kind of chime in and say, okay, I've been there already. Let me help you out.
Mhm.
Even like you said with marriage, men should be mentoring along the way.
Yeah.
And and I'm gonna be honest, it's no age limit. A man could be wise beyond his years. There's no age limit. But if you are in a position like me and yourself where we are married, it takes mentoring to get there. Not everything is just give you the answer straight up. You gotta go out to experience
Very
and
true.
make the right decisions.
Very true.
The correct investments.
Very true. Very true.
Yep.
Yeah. Good one. Go ahead, Anthony. We don't want to, because we can stretch that one out. Go ahead, give us the
Yeah,
next one.
yeah.
That was good.
I got you. But look, as I told you guys before, this is going to get a very deep conversation. The conversation is just going to start cooking. So just for me, so I can put my piece in it too.
Please do.
I can say the last time I felt at peace, it's been a few years, but I can say once I graduated college, I had a sense of having peace, but then afterward, my mind went straight to what am I doing next? What's going on for me? Because I'm just not gonna sit at home and do whatever, eat snacks, da. I need to find something that I can do after college that I can build up and call my own. So that's where I got the idea from. You know what? I'm gonna be a sports announcer. I'm gonna be a sports media person. I'm gonna be a high school football coach. I'm gonna be a college football coach. And then as that stuff goes on, now I have to worry about, okay, I have to get to here, or I have to do this. I have to get this certification. I have to talk to these people to get here. There's always going to be steps that I have to go through. But right now, I'm still young. I'm 24. I can say I'm unexperienced. I can say I'm unexperienced because the few times I've been out of the state is when for like family vacations, for work, but I don't take personal. Like I don't take myself out. I don't take personal vacations because for what I do, I'm a math teacher during the day, and I'm also a football coach during the weekends. So it's like I love what I do. I like to get up and I like to go out and I like to teach kids math, teach kids about football. I actually enjoy doing that stuff. So I can't say that, oh, I don't want to take time out to myself. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that stuff can get hefty, but with the way that this economy is going, with the way that I still want to get the stuff that I want, just to spoil myself every now and again. That stuff kind of battles out sometimes. So it's like it's been a couple years since I felt at peace, but I can say I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just there's still more steps I had to take for me to get there. Right. So
Understood.
going on to the next question.
Yep.
How do you check in with yourself when no one is around? Let's say, like for this point, Mr. Hamilton, let's say you're during your planning period and you know that you're not okay. Like you know for a fact you aren't okay. How do you check in with yourself? What do you do?
So as men, I remember I told this to a buddy of mine in college. Said, look, if you can't recognize yourself in the mirror when you go home, you're lost. You always have to recognize yourself, pull yourself together. You know how you always have that friend who will tell you if you're going down the wrong path. You gotta recognize yourself. You gotta keep yourself on track. I know something I do is I tell myself, am I all the way there mentally? Can I get through the day? Can I get through this mentally? You have people who throw shots during the day or whatever, but are you still there? Can you handle it? Because if you can't, then that means you take the day off and get some rest or whatever. But you can't do that when you're in the middle of a career. But always make sure you're there mentally and can recognize yourself. You don't get lost along the way.
Well said.
Yep.
That's a good answer.
Very good answer.
And I don't want to say my answer is close to that, but you really hooked me with if you can go home and you look in the mirror and you don't feel yourself, you don't see yourself, and you lost yourself.
Mhm.
I really connected with that one
Mhm.
because usually when I check in with myself during my planning or during my lunch or whatever, usually when I'm checking in with myself, I'm doing a small thing that I like to do. Do I still
Mhm.
enjoy them? If I can still enjoy doing the little thing that I do on a daily basis, I know I still
Mhm.
have myself. If I can
Mm.
look in the mirror and say, you know what, you got this. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay for you to make mistakes. It's okay for you to trip sometimes. It's okay for you to have setbacks. You're not supposed to be a perfect person. But if I can't at least smile, if I can't at least you know, get cheek to cheek, if I can't do that, I know I'm lost. I'm gone.
Mm.
I'm too far gone. I'm thinking about whatever is going on either at work or at home or with my car, whatever. I want to make sure that I can smile through any and every issue that I walk towards. That
Mhm.
tells me that I am fine. That tells me that I will be okay. That tells me that however long this setback is, it's just putting me in the right place to say, hey, now when it comes up, how can I deal with it differently?
Mhm. Makes sense to
So
me.
just so I can give Oren, just so I can give Oren a little bit more time for this answer, Oren, what you got for me? How do you check in with yourself?
So I'll say this much, man. Gentlemen, I check in. I almost want to say every day, but I'll definitely say I check in with myself weekly. I just center myself. I get to a place of where I look at, and when I say get to a place, I find myself a place. It could be out on the back porch, it could be in the garage, it could be sitting in the car, I could be sitting at my desk, whatever the case may be. But what I do is I ask myself, you know what I mean, how are you? So I check in with myself. You know what I mean? Like literally, in the same way that we'll talk about as the show continues this evening. Do we have somebody that checks in with us? That's going to be one of my questions. But I ask myself that question. I say, how you doing? How are you? How's your day going? And crazy enough, old saying says, those that talk to themselves, as long as they don't answer themselves, then they're okay. Well, I always say, then I must be a little crazy because I answer myself. I ask myself how I'm doing, and I answer it. And if it's moments or if it's days or if it's times where I feel like I'm not doing well, I go a little deeper into it. I ask myself, what is it that's on your mind? What is it that you're going through? And I take the time to go through those steps to find out what it is. I try my darndest. Now, mind you, it's not all the time, but I try my darndest not to rush through it. Right? I try to take it step by step so that I can be solution based. Because if I'm not solution based, all I'm doing is, and I always think about it like this: it's like if you take a rug that you have on any particular floor that you walk on, and if you don't ever so often, as the old school used to do, take it outside and shake it out. Say, for instance, if you shake it out in the house, all of whatever it is that has settled in that rug is going to now be in the air and on the floor. What are you going to do about it? You're going to sweep it up? Are you going to get that mess up? Or you're just going to leave it there? So I'm using that. Hopefully, it's not too bad of an analogy, but I treat my life similar to that. I try to shake the rug out. For one, I take it outside so that it doesn't have to be all in the air. And all of what I'm saying is metaphorically speaking. So it's going to take maybe some people a little bit of time to chew on this. But what I'm getting to by using this analogy is I take myself outside and I shake myself out. Right. I look at what comes out of the rug of me. I look at what it is that was either just hitting me and falling on me and in turn possibly affecting me in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And then once that stuff goes up, I sweep it up and I dispose of it. Now, do I do that all the time? No. Do I do it enough? No. But I do make sure that I do it nonetheless. Because if not, like anything else, now I'll close out with this analogy to this example. All of us had vacuum. Well, hopefully we all have vacuum before. Everyone has vacuum before. And look inside of the vacuum, especially if you have one of those see-through ones. You ever notice how much debris gets inside of a vacuum and you ask yourself, even if you're a person who vacuums weekly, where does all of that stuff come from?
Yeah.
Right? That's how our
Yeah.
lives are. That's exactly how our lives are. Our lives pick up things on the regular basis. Do we take the time to vacuum them? Do we take the time to shake out the rug? Do we take the time to check in with ourselves, find out what's going on, sweep it up after we've shaken it out, after we vacuum it out, dump it out, so that we can be clear and clean again and renewed and refreshed and restored to go back into life and then approach life in the way that we feel as though we can with 100% of as much of 100% of our gas tank full. So I know I speak with a lot of metaphors and analogies, but it's purposeful, man, because I always want it to be something that somebody can chew on and sit with and take their time to dissect. Shouldn't always be understood right away. As I always say,
Yeah.
the Bible
Yeah.
isn't something that we can make sense of right away. right? You got to be able to read it, take time with it, digest it. So that's the same way I speak. So hopefully that answers your question, but that's what I do, man. I check in with myself, take the time to figure out what I got going on, answer the questions. And last but not least, say if I cannot find an answer to the question. This is going to go into a part that I want to bring up later. Who do I have that I go to help me break it down?
And,
that is where I fail at.
And I have a quick analogy for both of you all. So I like boxing. So since we're all men here, we're all physical, we all play sports physical. So there's some that claim that there are some out there, men aren't always going to tell you how they feel or what they've been through. They may come to everything's fine, but that's not something. Our focus is healthy, man. That's not a good thing. If man tells you everything's fine, I mean, he's not in touch with his emotions.
Yep.
He's not being honest with himself. Now I know we've all met men in the past who have gone on to glory, and we're like, what happened? Men may, and I look at like someone who likes boxing. Sometimes men were hit too hard. Men couldn't take what life threw at them. They got hit too hard. I know you know about this. So they made it's called like a KO. They life overcame them. They weren't being honest from the beginning. How can we come against that? Be in touch with your emotions. Knowing to say no. Different things like that, because that does happen. Men think, oh, I'm so strong, I can take on anything. Another man, bigger, comes along, says, sit down, listen to me. So as men, we have to realize that, the healthy man learn how to say no so you can live a full life. Not everything is about, being on top of the next man. Learn to say no.
You're right.
No one to say, like I know you all watching Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is about to knock Gervonta Davis silly, things like that. No one to say no, so.
If I can add this last thing to that, and I'm so glad that you said it. And Anthony, you have the floor, brother. But I always say the word no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. Like no does not require an explanation.
That's a really great. That's really
great
way to
and really think. But really think about that, though, right? When you say no, you don't need it. You don't always owe someone an explanation.
See, you said no is a complete sentence.
No is a complete sentence. Sometimes no with the period on the end should be enough. For those that it's not enough, you should question what type of relationship do you really have with them? Because everybody in our lives, we should be able to say no to if it's that we have a relationship or some form of a connection and they respect it and they understand it. Because to your point, Mr. Hamilton, there are moments of where we have to realize, and I said this last week and I said this the week before, wells run dry.
Yep.
Right? If we are wells and everybody comes to
drink
from us, who's going to refill that well? So sometimes that no positions you to be able to be refilled. But if everything is always a yes, your well runs dry, then what? So I'm glad that you brought that up, man. I had to throw that in there because that's something that I use in my sessions, and it's something that I use when I do groups, man. Because similar to yourself, my background is in social work, but I've since gone into doing life coaching and facilitating groups. Away from that even right now, but I say that to say that is something that I always try to make sure people understand. Make sure you adopt this word in your vocabulary and know that it's not only a word, but it's a complete sentence, and it's a 2-letter word, and the word is no. Period. Use it. Say it. It'll save your life. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, look, the conversation only getting good, but we are coming to the back end of this conversation as we have one last question to answer. And this question, I hope everybody at home who's ever watching this, if you're watching this on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, please drop down in the comment section below your answers too. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear, what do you think about these certain questions? So now, with the final question, if your younger self, let's say you would go back to, say 10 years old. Let's say you would pretend you're 10 years old today. If your younger self saw you, what would he say? So mind you, this is when you're 10 years old. I just chose a random number, and 10 was just the first number I thought of. So if you went back to your 10-year-old self and he saw you in all your accomplishments and everything that you do from then to today, what would you tell him, and what do you think he would say to you?
Wow. I'll let you go, Mr.
Mr.
Hamilton.
Hamilton, you
Yeah,
want
so I'll go
to
ahead.
kick this one off, or you want me?
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead. Well, I would say,
Cool.
of course, you grow throughout life, but I'm the same. You try to change too much, so as I mentioned, you gotta recognize yourself. So I would say I'm the same person. I've grown, but I've also helped others along the way through help. I know I mentioned I do social work. So as a social worker, one of my jobs as a social worker was to mentor a family. So the social work will call to mentor other families. We'll call to give guidance to other families in the community. So I use my experience to help others along the way. Okay, uh, John, James, and Jimmy may be 10 years old next door. The mother comes to me, hey, can you mentor my sons? Sure. So you take them on your caseload, you mentor them. So you help others along the way. So while I was doing this, you observe them, so I was doing the same thing. So you try to help others along the way. But I can say my 10-year-old self will be proud and say, um, you did the right thing.
Anthony, you want to go
That's
first?
good. That's good. Now let me. Now,
Second, I'll
yeah,
say.
of course I do, because I want to give you more time for this one. Yeah, I want to give you more time for this one. So even though I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I was 10 years old, like
Not that
not
long
that
ago.
long ago.
Yeah.
But
Mine is almost 40.
exactly, 'cause I'm still young. But I would say that if my 10-year-old self saw me today, he would probably ask, did we make it into the NFL? Like, he would look how big I am, and he would be like, did we make it to the NFL? Or did we get a chance to play for this person? Did we show everybody how good we are at football? Because growing up, I was always good at football. Like, that was my number one sport. That's what I loved. When I played with the kids in my neighborhood, I would literally catch everything. Like, I wouldn't be the fastest person on the team. I wouldn't be the most, the most shifty, most reliable, whatever. But they knew whenever they threw it to me, I would catch it. I had soft hands. Football was everything to me. Playing video games, doing this, watching this, it was all just in my blood. So if my 10-year-old saw me, he would ask me these three things. One, did we make it with football? Is football our main commodity, like when we're living older? Two, do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a wife, this, that, and the third, whatever? And is it this certain person? And I would really teach my younger self to say, you know what? It's not who you think it is. It's not who you want it to be. It's not who you believe it to be, but we have feelings that pass over time. You can say now that you want this person for life, but then life is unpredictable. You don't know what tomorrow brings. So whatever your feelings are today, something could happen tomorrow and that could change.
Yeah.
Everybody can say, oh, well, this isn't, I'm gonna love this person forever. I'm gonna do this. But times happen every day. Things happen each and every day. So it's like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing my 10-year-old self would say to me is, are we close to becoming a game designer? Because I wanted to be everything when I was younger. I want to be a football player, and I want to be a game designer too. Because I was so fascinated from the Sonic games when I was younger, the Mortal Kombat games, some of the Mario games, some of the Wii Sports series, some of the Dragon Ball Z series. So it's like if I wanted to game design and help make my next best game, or the next best game that everybody gets to play, that's what my 10-year-old self would want to do. I'm all about accomplishments. My 10-year-old self would be on that timing and ask me, did we do this? Did we do this? Did we do this? Because we said we were going to do it.
And if you don't mind if I add something real quick. Okay, so you brought up a good point, Mr. Greenfield. So 10 years old, what was I doing? I was going to basketball camps with Dwayne Wade when I was 10 years old. Fast forward, 32. I know Dwayne Wade's cousin. Over at work with Dwayne Wade's cousin on the morning side. Me myself, I made it
Mm-hmm.
pro in 3 sports: golf, baseball, basketball, and I box. So yes, my 10-year-old self will be proud. Dom, you tried. And like you should be proud too, Mr. Greenfield. You're a professional flag football player. You still made it pro, so still be
Yes.
proud that you tried. We may not have the rings yet, but we're working towards that. To be like Bill Russell, we're working towards that. Over time, it'll take time, but hopefully we'll get there. So I would be proud.
Well said, gentlemen. Well said. I'll say this much, man. I think if I
So,
look
Org,
back
if
at
you
it,
were 10 years old, what will he say to you?
almost 40 years back, right? I'll say one thing I think he would say is it looks like you let things go that you did not need to hold on to. Um, and that's the first thing came to my mind when you asked that question. And what I mean by that is to the things that I could have um, used to decide to do some things, and those things wouldn't have been beneficial, but like many use some of our life's experiences and in turn find out that it's just excuses to do what you know you need not do. I think my 10-year-old self would say it looks like, based upon how you're living right now, it looks like you let go of certain things that you knew were of no benefit to you. So you forgave, right? You moved on and you grew up. I'll say that. That's what I think my 10-year-old self would say to me. That's the number one thing comes to my mind. What would I say to my 10-year-old self? Um, wow. Uh, Focus a little bit more on you, what it is that you want, and what it is that you think you would like to do, and not focus as much on what actually you cannot control in
Mm-hmm.
people, places, and things. Um, that would be what I would say to my 10-year-old self. Because at 10 years old, I'll say this much. Do I really want to get into disclosing? Um, I'm a pretty, you know what I mean?
Hey,
I
look, it's
experienced,
a safe space here,
I,
man.
I'll say this much. Well, and not really, we live and don't live in color. I'll say this much. I experienced a lot before the age of 10 that a grown up doesn't even have the idea that this world has to offer, in
Mm-hmm.
the evil sense, we'll say, right? So trauma met my life very early, right? So within that, that's where I say forgiving, letting go was one thing that I would say that I'm grateful for and I'm thankful for, by the grace of God, that I was able to experience at around about 18, 19. But what it is, like I said, that I would say to my 10-year-old self is that, look, man, lock in, focus on trying to work towards something, master something as much as you can, and see what you can make of it, versus focusing on things that you can't change, focusing on things that the adults in your life, it's those decisions that they made that, yes, they affect you, but they don't have to be what defines you. So that's what I would say. Now I know that may sound kind of deep, but like I said to y'all, that's 40 years ago almost. Right.
Mhm.
So that's where I would come from within that. But what was so powerful about that question, and then right before I end, I want us to read a comment or two that someone sent us. But the interesting thing about either listening to by way of receiving feedback from your 10-year-old self or speaking something to your 10-year-old self, I hope that anybody that gets a chance to watch this, man, I hope they really think about what that means, especially if they're anywhere between the ages of 10 and we'll just say your age at 24. Right now, granted, as well for you, Mr. Hamilton, 32. To me, both of you guys are young, man. Y'all have so much, in front of you. But I'll tell y'all this: I'm 48. I have a friend of mine that's 72. He said to me, he said, "Man, you still a baby." So it's all in perspective, right? It's all of depending
Yeah.
on who you're talking to where they see it as that you're still young and you still have so much in front of you. But what I could tell the you two gentlemen is that at 24 and at 32, and yet to have either ventured into marriage, let alone children, make sure that a lot of what it is that you guys desire to do in life, really be intentional on thinking about it, processing it, and taking steps in the direction of it. Because once you add those other components on, the plot thickens, things change. right? Doesn't mean that you won't be able to still obtain them, but it changes, right? So
Yeah.
I want us, if we could read this comment right here, from it says Jay Green 15. He says, "Man, my 10-year-old self would be disappointed in how my life's turned out, and I hate saying that, but it's truly unfortunate." You know, for this gentleman right here, you know, what's interesting is I think a lot of people would be able to relate to what it is that he's saying, and where we don't really know his age or know exactly who this individual is. You know, we appreciate that he is willing to be transparent and share it. But let's just say this: he still has life to live. So, young man, you still have life to live. So don't let your past define your future. You know, decide where you are to make some choices that can impact your life positively, so that wherever you are right now, you will be able to write additional chapters in your story of life, and that what it is that you share with us here is only a page or two in your book, versus right now maybe it's something that possibly weighs a little heavy on you. But we do appreciate you sharing it. And then, like, I think it's right here, he says he appreciates that boy. I'm assuming he's talking to you, Anthony. Right?
Yeah, he was talking to me because I got the Bowie State jersey on.
For sure. And then
He's
I
talking
think
to
right
me.
here it says, "I appreciate all of your perspectives." Thank you, sir. We appreciate yours as well.
Yeah.
And then, like, he closed out by saying, "Thank you for that. No doubt. We appreciate you, man." Yes, indeed. But no, that I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted, because like you're saying, like we always say, we want for our viewers to share their comments, because they're a part of the show, right? Their thoughts are just as important as our thoughts, and they are a part of this conversation. So, but no, that's a powerful one right there, man. Yeah, I'm a
Yes,
sit with that one.
and that's
My 10-year-old
and that's exactly what I want to close out on, because that's what this show is about. It's about real thoughts and conversation. That's literally what it's called: real thoughts and conversations. So we want to hear from the viewers. We want to hear from the subscribers, from the commenters. I want to hear from everybody. What were your thoughts from tonight's show? What were your thoughts from the question? When do you feel like you're at peace? If you were 10 years old today, what would you say to yourself? And I'm kind of running a blank. What was the third question? The third question was oh my God.
Check it in with yourself.
What was the third question? It was the 10-year-old self, you're at peace, and hold on, I gotta go back on my notes here. Oh, the third question.
While you're getting that, I'll read this. He says, you guys
made
my night.
Was having a rough day today.
Hey,
that's what we're
appreciate
here
you, brother.
for, dog.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you ever have a bad day, bro, like, tap into Real Thoughts and Conversations. We can talk about it. We can talk about what really made you upset. And if it's a really world problem and we can try to help you with it, we're gonna do our best. No guarantee it's going to be like thing you can use, but it's gonna help you. I promise you, it's gonna help you.
Maybe even have you on as a guest.
You want to say, Oren?
No, I was just gonna say maybe even have him on as a guest, because I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're all in this together, man. Yeah, but that was good. And I tell you, like I said, I had some questions, but I want us to.
And then I just saw my notes.
Go ahead. Wait.
Yeah. So I just found in my notes the third question was how do you check in with yourself? That was the third question. I'm sorry, I was blanking on it. But definitely thank you for everybody who commented tonight. So you love Be On Sometime. Thank you all. Hey, I got you, bro. Listen, for the month of November, we will talk about everything men's mental health. I will always have 3 questions. You can come in, you can talk about it, you can put your own thought or conversation in it, and we make it one big conversation. Everybody's opinion is welcome here.
Indeed.
Okay? As long as it's respectful. If it's a respectful opinion, we'll take it.
I like it when they're not.
So, more often than not. We're not trying to have that violence. No. Yeah.
This was good, man.
But other than that, we like to have fun over here. We like to create real thoughts. We like to have real conversations, so everybody's voice is heard. From my perspective as a man, I don't feel like my opinion is heard enough. I don't feel like people listen to me. I feel like people hear my voice and tune it out. I don't want that, because my words are as valuable as somebody who would say it if they didn't know you. My words are as valuable as if someone you saw tomorrow, whether they're your friend, your coworker, whatever, my voice is just as important as theirs. Everybody's voice is important. That's why we have the First Amendment, freedom of speech. You are allowed to say whatever you want. If you have the right to express your opinions and express your feelings, do it. Do not be held anymore.
And
Now,
I
are
agree.
there
I
any
agree.
final words?
Yeah, I wanted to leave
Yeah,
with
go
this. I
ahead.
know I
Go
talked to
ahead,
Mr.
Mr. Hamilton.
Greenstead Oren. I just wanted your opinion on this. So me and my buddies, we had a discussion on Upper Marlboro. We get it's age of us from like 58 to 27 is the youngest. We all get together. Most of us are married. One that's not married. I'm engaged. There's 6 of us. So one is not married. 5 of us are married. So 6 of us total. And we check in. We all live on our own. We all manage ourselves, live on our own. We're all try to do the right thing. So we try to impress another young man like, okay, young man, once you reach a certain age, you should be out with your wife, living on your own, not with your parents. So I try to tell other young men that's the right thing to do. I'm telling them something I would do, on something I'm doing. Live on your own. So I told Mr. Greenfield about the other day. I said you should be living on your own after a certain time, not relying on your parents. Parents, telling you go walk the dog, go clean your room. And you're 30 plus. Why would you want that? So I try to impress on other young men. Get out the house, live on your own. No one's like to live, by yourself with your wife and with your kids, not have anybody else tell you what to do. Enjoy that freedom. So I know that's what we talk about. The 6 of us, we get together and just talk about that every now and then. So
Well, I appreciate you mentioning that, and I think
yeah,
we should both chime in on that tonight.
yeah,
Anthony, you go first, and then I'll speak on it because you're speaking my language with what you
yeah.
just said,
And we,
and I
that we,
appreciate you
yeah,
saying this. I
yeah, yeah,
definitely want to. I got something I want to say, but go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Anthony.
What's your take, Anthony?
So, and I remember he came in my room asking me the same question, and he was
Yeah,
saying living with your parents can affect your mental health, and
yeah,
that part I can agree with.
yeah,
I can agree with that part on the basis of this: staying with your parents, knowing that you can't get your own place, you're still living under your parents' roof. Now, me, I grew up with, I don't say strict parents, but I grew up with parents that always said, if you're under my house or you're under my roof, you're gonna go by my rules.
Hmm.
And I didn't agree with some of the rules. Some of the things I thought could be flexed. Some of the things could be like, well, instead of doing it like this, do it like this. Instead of doing it this way, it's faster you do it this way. Instead of doing this, let's do this. But I think staying with your parents, sometimes it can hinder your creativity because
yeah,
maybe parents won't allow you to do your own thing. Instead what they'll do is try to have some way of how should I say this? They'll try to have some way of you do it my way. If it's not your way, then it's not going to fly here. But I definitely think that everyone should try to live out on their own. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to save money, do all the other stuff, try to get into some other things that can help me get my own place, and try to find a way or try to find somewhere that can help me build that kind of equity or help me build that kind of financial profile that I can have for myself and get my own place.
yeah,
Hopefully a townhouse. I know what I said when I was older. I wanted like a 20-bedroom mansion. That was me thinking in outer space. Now that I'm 24, I kind of want a townhouse for like me, my wife's, and like maybe 3 kids, maybe like a little bit of a backyard, and I'm cool. That's all I need.
okay,
Well said. Well said. Well, I'll say this much to that. Great topic conversation, Mr. Hamilton, of what you said your comrades talked about. Because man, I always say true independence doesn't happen until you live on the other side of the door of your parents' house.
yep,
Right? You experience it to some degree, but the reality of it is you have that safety net, right? So it's almost like if you think about, you all have ever done that exercise, that trust fall, right?
yeah,
So if you think of that trust fall, and if you think of what it is that your
Yeah.
parents provide for you, they are what it is that you can fall into. But so you really don't have a clue of what life looks like to position yourself to have what you need to be, when you fall into it, a safety net is what I'm getting to,
yeah,
until you're on your own. Because until you have to make the decisions to so let's look at it from this standpoint: lifestyle, right? So something that I've said to my kids before: the lifestyle that your mother and my wife, have provided you guys to live with and have, you're not guaranteed to be able to have that same thing for yourself. So don't think it's automatic. Now, here's what I mean by that. Whatever that lifestyle is, what I mean by that is depending upon the neighborhood you live in, the size of a house, the car you drive, the ability to eat out, whatever it is, that's something that looks totally different to a person that is on their own, because they have to start looking at whatever they bring in has to be able to add up to whatever it is that they want to have, right? What they believe is the lifestyle of what they want to live. So until those things happen, there's still a sense of dependency, major sense of dependency. What am I talking about? A sense of it. It's a major dependency that's on the end of what it is that you're able to rest in. Until you're in the independence, everything like what you mentioned, Anthony, in regards to if it's your dad or your mom or your parents' house and feeling like some of the rules of what they have should be different. I'm a firm believer of whenever a person begins to think like that and feel like what their opinion and their thought is should matter, is when they need to think about moving. Because the reality of it is that's their home. It goes by what it is that they have in place. And it's okay when you think that it should be different. But what makes it okay is that you see that you're now in a position to stretch your wings and fly. Pelican fly type of thing. The entitlement in this modern day is what makes a person, and I'm not knocking you, I'm just using you as an example, Anthony, that has you all to believe that what you think and feel underneath your parents' roof should be different from what they do. But until you have to do what they do, no one has a clue of what goes into, and I want to come full circle back to this. We're talking about men's mental health awareness. So let's just take the men off and let's just take human mental health awareness. When you become an adult, living on your own, paying bills, possibly married, with children, a child has no idea of the weight mentally an adult has to deal with. So when it comes to things that adult or those adults put in place, it's so that there can be a sense of peace, goes back to your initial question, that all parties can have underneath the roof that they provide and on the foundation that they provide. But in order to be able to do that, it's major sacrifices that a child, a dependent, how about I say that? Because a dependent has no idea of. So there'll be moments of where that dependent thinks that, man, how come they don't do different? How come if I was them, I'd change this. Think about, we live in a country that unfortunately wants to critique our leader to such a degree where does the average person have any idea of what it means to run a whole country? So here's what I mean. I'm using this metaphorically speaking, but then also in a literal sense. If you can't run your own household, how are you going to tell somebody how to run a country? If you don't have your own household, how are you going to tell somebody how to run a household, let alone run a whole country? So that's where it's positions, when you think about it, that wherever and whatever level you're in or you're on, be good with that. Learn everything you can learn on that level and allow the level to level you up. Not that you think you should be leveled up. So if you go back to, like I think you were saying, where within football or whatever the case may be, sports, whatever the case may be, of what one wants to become when they're young, I like to challenge people and say, do you not think that everybody at some point, now I'm not talking to you, Anthony, or Mr. Hamilton, I'm just talking about generally speaking, everybody at some age or another thinks that what they want, they should be able to have. But let's be real. When you get older, you realize that life ain't as much about what you want. It ain't even about as much as what you work hard for. Nothing's guaranteed. But that's when maturity comes in, that you realize, okay, and this is old saying, to whatever hand you're dealt, how will you play it? Are you going to throw it in? Or you going to play it? Right? So if we look at it in the form of how you going to play your hand, you going to throw it in and give up? Okay. If you give up, I mean, what does that say? But play it. Play every last card. Learn how to play your game, play your hand better by being a mentee, Mr. Hamilton, like you were saying, to a mentor, right? So to reaching back. But I'm maybe going in circles at this stage, but saying all of this to say, these are the things a lot of times, and it goes back to the mental health part, we really got to make sure we're checking in. Because I said this earlier, if 80% of suicides are men, if 1 in every 4 men suffer from some form of mental health illness, sickness, problem, we have to make sure we're checking in with each other. So I love the fact of that question. But to that question and to Anthony's point, and that's why I want to come right back to this. Sometimes living underneath your parents' household, possibly too long, stunts your growth.
Yeah.
Because everything that grows needs to be able to be in a space and in a position to where it can continue to grow.
Yep.
Meaning, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know what size shoe y'all wear at this stage, but you didn't wear, I mean, I wear anywhere between 11 and a half to a 13, right? Meaning haven't always wore that size shoe, but when I was in an 8, if I force my foot to stay in that 8 versus move to that 10 or that 11, I'm stunting my growth. Right? So sometimes we got to be able to allow ourselves to say, okay, what does it look like for me to step outside of my comfort zone, outside of the safety net that I have, that I'm really kind of feeling, bogged down by? What do I need to do? How do I need to position myself? In what ways do I need to work in order to be able to do? Because what does complaining get at the end of the day?
Yep.
I mean, change nothing.
Nothing.
They don't change anything, right? So just saying all of that to say, and like I said, we said, for a lot of what our conversation is about, it'll be for even us to go back and watch, but it'll be for our listeners to dissect. But I want to go back to Mr. Hamilton, that y'all are having that conversation, man. It's important, and it's important that we have it on these stages, because people need to realize, like unless you're home for the fact of that you're trying to meaning at an age where, and I like that you said, Anthony, where you could be on your own. If you're working toward establishing yourself, great. But if you're actually not for those reasons, but you're just staying because it's comfortable, right? It's because it's what you used to. I like what you say, Anthony, that you're possibly not realizing that you're stunning your own growth.
Yeah.
You're hindering yourself from actually tapping into who you really are. Because Mr. Hamilton, you could probably speak to this. You said it a little while ago. Man, look, I bet it's a morning or two when you want to lay there, right, and roll over because yesterday was hard. But you think about, oh man, I got to get up and go to work tomorrow, because I can't afford somebody to tell me you're fired. Because if you're fired, who's gonna pay your bills?
Yep.
So I think Mr. Jay Green said, look what he says. I got to tell y'all, gentlemen, I'm in a unique situation where I'm 35 and my mom lives with me, older and sick, so vice versa. But there's that hindrance to move forward still for me in that aspect as well. Let me say this real quick. This is such a powerful, thank you, Jay Green, for sharing this, because he is so right. I got to chill as I'm thinking about this. This is so true as well, because we don't know what the future holds. So sometimes things do vice versa and flip. So our prayers are to you, brother, because I can imagine you're now, so to speak, the provider and the caretaker, where grace is required and needed for you as well. So that's the other part about when we become adults. We don't even know what's around the corner. You know what I mean? So this brother tonight, man, his transparency and his vulnerability, we salute you, because we appreciate your willingness to share. So thank you, man. I'll start right there, because he is right. That shows you that's another branch on the tree of what it means to, figure this thing out. Yeah.
All great message say, brothers. I appreciate the word you all gave.
Yes, also. Indeed.
Hey, look, Jay Green 15, man. I appreciate you for sharing that. That very right now, our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers are with you, brother. We are all praying for your mother's speedy recovery, and we hope that she comes in and she's able to walk around and do what she do once again. But listen, on the East Coast, it's getting late, and I got school tomorrow, and I know Mr. Hamilton do too. Yes. So here's how I want to end. Here's what I want to end out today. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in for tonight's show of Real Thoughts and Conversations. I really want to bring up the point that men have voices too. Everybody needs to understand that every man has a voice. Please check in with anybody. Your friend, your father, your coworker, your brother, I'm about to say your sister, your stepbrother, any male counterpart, and ask them how they are doing. Some of them may say, I'm fine. Some of them may say, my day's not good. Some of them may say, oh, I'm doing great. Some of them may not even answer you because there's so much on their mind and it's so heavy they can't put into words. Us as men, we've been through that. We know what that's like. We know the kind of pain that we don't want to bother anybody else with. But just know their problems do matter. Their voices do matter. Okay? So, like I said before, if you want to be a part of the show, please either email the Leon Thomas group or you can email me. Probably do the Leon Thomas group. That'll be a lot faster. But you do the Leon Thomas group and Leon at the LeonThomasGroup.com. Again, that's Leon at the LeonThomasGroup.com. And you can find your way onto the show. Okay. And lastly, everybody, please go out there. Please stay safe. Please stay passionate and be safe. All right. We'll come at next week with a part 3. And hopefully, I'll get more guests on here.
All right.
Peace out, everybody. Have a good night.
Great
Have a
show.
good night.
All right.